At the Tokyo trials, the wheels of justice would grind slowly, but inexorably.
Colonel Wyman, my former boss, was given the Alaska Highway, the Alcan Highway. He said, "Sure, I have a job here. I'll make you my chief of staff." Well, we laughed about that, and that's where I did court reporting. I didn't know there was so many ways for a fellow to get into trouble before that. I really didn't. Let's see, I don't know how old I was then, but in my 20s someplace, I thought I was going with UNRWA, and I headed back to Washington, D.C., and there I was trained for just a couple of weeks. Got my uniform and everything. That was the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation. Right. So, but the day before I was to leave, I heard about this opening at in Tokyo. So I hurried and got that changed and left for Tokyo instead. And then I was on a plane with the fellow who turned out to be my boss there. And I'll show you pictures of him. And it was only about the second day that I was there that General MacArthur was giving a speech to the 4 big countries. And so another girl and I took that speech, and I was excited about him. He didn't talk fast, but person's nervous.
You walk in and you see a guy you've read about a lot.
Yes.
Was there an awe factor?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I worked for Pete Lopez. That was a Filipino.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all about the death march, and all of that is all in this stuff. Then the day before he went to court, he said I should go to the stenographic pool there and see if I could get some help on a lot of the documents. And the girls only worked like maybe a half day, and they said that they just couldn't type all that.
Right.
They couldn't type that kind of stuff. There were all the atrocities and all.
Crimes against humanity, including breaches of law and execution of war plans from 1931 to 1945, violation of law by committing and or authorizing offenses before December 7, 1941, violation of law regarding the observing of the conventions in respect to the treatment of military and civilian prisoners of war. Keenan's wide-ranging indictment would pursue Japanese crimes from 1928 and include the staged Manchurian incidents, as well as political murder at home, the Nanking slaughters, and Pearl Harbor. Added to this were plundering, forced prostitution, rape, prisoner starving, maiming, torture, murder, and a dismally long litany of other atrocious acts.
Pete Lopez said, where are all these good things that we had, that we saw when we first came? I guess after a year you get used, this doesn't seem bad.
Yeah.
So, and his English was so poor that we'd have him practice before he went in the courtroom. This part, I went in only during the Philippine phase of it.
Okay. While in the courtroom to see Tojo?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day. He was the only one who wore his uniform the whole time. Little fellow.
Okay.
Little fellow. They all wear the dark rimmed glasses, everybody in Tokyo. He listened very intently. He was in charge of everything.
Yeah.
Now, when MacArthur got there, he was going to indict Hirohito.
Mm-hmm.
He told him that you are the one that we were going to try. But he said, I've decided not to because you are the head of the government and you're head of the religion.
Mm-hmm.
And our troops would not be safe here.
Mm-hmm.
So he got off scot-free.
Right.
Tojo and the others, well, if you're in the service, if you don't do what you're ordered to do,
mm-hmm.
you pay dearly for it.
Mm-hmm.
I often thought that here is Tojo doing what he was told to do,
Right.
giving the orders to the others. But when it came time, I wasn't there at the time that he was sentenced, because at the end of the prosecution I came back.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that when they gave him his sentence, He stood and bowed, and he said, and they told him death by hanging, and he said, and thank you very much. And you have to have some feeling
Yeah.
someplace for that kind of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But there was only, I think there were 28 who were tried. They all came from the Sagamo prison where they were, and that's where my husband was going out there. He was a lawyer,
Was that right?
and he was going out there to get to interrogate them for the trial. And anyhow, the first day of the trial, when the bus brought them to the War Ministry building, one of the who was to be tried carried on in the bus, and from then on, for about a week, acted as though he had gone berserk, and maybe he had, but he was not tried, and he was put in a mental institution. The courtroom was filled every day, and there were these little Japanese women there. You wouldn't think that they would be there to hear how bad they had treated Americans. And at each seat was a control that you could hear the testimony in any language, and I suppose it was the same at Nuremberg.
Right.
And then there was like a balcony where the translators were.
So you were here, I'm looking at this trial scenario of Class C offenses in general, Class B and C offenses in the Philippines, and this was presented by your boss, Pedro Lopez, and you would have been there as a stenographer taking this information down.
That's right. And I typed all that. I typed that stuff. Well, that wouldn't be nearly what was done, because we worked on that a whole year to get that ready for the trial. He was a great guy.
Was he happy when his part of the prosecution?
Oh, yes. He couldn't wait.
Yeah.
He couldn't wait.
And when he got done and rested, did he?
He was a very good friend of Keenan's, and a very good friend of MacArthur's. When we got as far as where is it? Where the memorial is, Mount Surabaki. When we got that far, he had a telegram from MacArthur saying, "Anxiously awaiting your arrival." MacArthur had been in the Philippines a long time, and his father too, I guess. I wouldn't exchange anything really. If there had to be a Pearl Harbor, I got to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're eyewitness to history.
Yeah, really. I want to thank you for doing all of this.
I want to thank you.